Hey Akash, you're back.
Yeah, I was stuck in very bad traffic.
Bangalore? Come
Trying to do retest.
on, man. You should anticipate for that.
So, how's the day going, Praveen? All good?
It's good. It's Easter week here in London, so things are a bit slow. The city is slowly getting back to work mode maybe next week. But it's a very slow week for us. So far, so good.
How's the weather down there?
Let's not go there, man. Weather is never good in London. Today it happens to be nice and sunny, but generally it's gloomy, dark, raining anytime it wants to. Not one of those fun cities for weather. But otherwise, it's a fun city for everything else.
Pretty good. I mean, Bangalore is not also a very fun city at this time of the year. You might be seeing the memes and all. S-
Absolutely. I
How it
used to
does.
love Bangalore at one point. I don't know what happened to that city. Population, inflation, and too many people coming into the city and making the city a very different place to live, actually. As a kid, I used to enjoy going to Bangalore, but not anymore.
Where are you from originally?
Um, I was raised in Chennai, so I'm a proper South Indian guy. But by the way, I can speak all the four South Indian languages
Oh,
reasonably well. Yeah, and yeah, I was raised in Chennai primarily.
oh, wow. I haven't been to Chennai yet, but I have heard the beach along with the food is really, really good. So I'm looking forward to going over there.
The Marina Beach, yeah.
Yes.
It's a very hot and humid city. You have to really like the city to live in that city, to be honest. Yeah, got some great memories from the city.
Yeah, hot and
It's
humid.
been it's been
Sounds
18 years since I've lived there, 18, 20 years since I've lived there. So yeah.
okay. So Praveen, now let me first of all introduce you to the audience that we have over here for today's evening. They would be delighted to know that they are in the company of a great leader and a visionary. Now, Praveen here is heading analytics and has been in this field for a long time and with a diverse and rich experience, guys. So, good evening to today's Tech Titan, where we'll be talking and getting to know from the real life experiences of a distinguished individual. And we'll be getting to learn from his career growths and whatever challenges he had faced during his time so far. So thank you, Praveen, for sparing your time of the day and spending it with us so early in the morning or that too. Thank you for
No, it's actually afternoon, so I'm good. But yeah, thank you for inviting. It's always a pleasure to interact with students, and I strongly believe that the student community these days have evolved dramatically. I have a son who is going to turn 8 years tomorrow, next week, and I can see how students have dramatically changed in their perspectives, especially the learning journey. So I'm always excited to be in such forums. Thanks for inviting me.
it's a delight to have you here, Praveen. So, Praveen, let's start with a very hard-hitting question. So many people here have rightfully been skeptical about what happens next to this field. You have been here in this field for quite a while now. You have seen it grow, evolve, and change. And at this point, I feel we are at the cusp of yet another change with ChatGPT, generative AI, and many such tools coming in every day almost. So, what do you think is going to happen to this field and more so to the jobs in this field? Now, by jobs, I mean to the nature of jobs or to the type of roles that people play over here. And how do you think that people are going to be in harmony with AI?
Okay. So when you talk about the field, you're referring to data analytics
Yes.
field.
Yeah.
So I'll start by kind of clarifying on how I look at this entire domain or industry. Um, there is significantly distinctive industries in this arena. There is a data industry. This industry focuses on generating, managing data, right? There are data aggregators, data collators, data generators, data creators, and data management platforms, and so on and so forth. Then there's a proper business intelligence reporting insights domain, which is very much focused on representing the data, converting the data into information and insights, and so on and so forth. Then there is a data sciences and advanced analytics where people convert data information into more predictive, prescriptive or probabilistic, whatever you want to call it, different types of data science kind of work. And then there is this whole AI spectrum, which is like sitting on top of all of it. So we have to now distinguish the industry into these buckets.
Right.
Each of these are individually an industry in its own, right? A data engineer's career trajectory will be very different from a data scientist's career trajectory, from someone who is doing LLM models or creating Gen AI algorithms. All their careers are going to be significantly different, but they all fall under the data analytics realm. Maybe that's where the conversations. Where is this industry heading? Um, in my opinion, this industry is going to further grow and grow, and it's never going to stop, because the fastest growing economy in the world is the data economy. So the data economy is going to continue to grow. But if you want a kind of a prediction as to where this will end, I have a conspiracy theory of my own. I believe that we will reach a point where majority of the clicks and transaction level orchestration that happens in the IT world, lack of better words, a broad spectrum, is going to be significantly transformed into a more of an automated, evolved world. Which means, think about it this way: no matter which profession you're into, the number of clicks you make in your day or in your day job, or whatever clicks you're making, if those clicks are just a mandatory click or a statutory click, that job is going to go away. Right? If any click requires you to think and so not think, any click that requires you to source information from different sources and put it together, that job is going to go away. Right? Anything that requires you to process information at scale and infer, that job is going to go away. Right? So I'm not trying to scare folks on the call, but what I'm trying to say is that anything that requires very limited human intelligence will potentially move towards the AI spectrum or the Gen AI spectrum or whatever it is. I'm not a big fan of these latest jargons. Gen AI has been there forever. In my opinion, it's just a new avatar that people have given it. But long story short, to your question, industry or anything that we do today which can be replicated, mimicked by a machine, will potentially go away as a job opportunity. But what it creates alternatively is this opportunity for us to innovate in this space. Anyone who can bring innovative application and usage of data and information, then you will be in a much better position. That is my first part of the question you asked. What was the second part you asked me? This was around, you asked me a
So,
second question.
yeah, so where do you think this field is growing? That's in terms of jobs that you have already answered. What do you think is the future of this field in terms of humans using AI together for maybe increasing their productivity, or maybe also as a tool, just like how humans came to use Power BI, Tableau, other such tools over the years? Do you think AI is just going to be another tool, or is it going to be the other way around, where AI is going to do most of the work and humans will just invigilate or verify it?
As I said, AI is going to grow. The jobs that are related to specific click level jobs will go away. But what will remain is the consumption and application of AI. That is going to be the most interesting and most evolving space, in my opinion. Right? We're going to need more data scientists. We're going to need more individuals who are creative in building those creative applications and usage of this AI, Gen AI, whatever you want to call it. We're going to need more people who can do advanced programming, advanced coding, because the coding part is not going to go away, right? There's a good chunk of intelligence that goes into coding something, so that's going to still remain. People who understand LLM and are able to build LLM models, that's going to still stay. So data engineers, modelers, data scientists, all these roles will exist, but the version of that application will change dramatically. What you are doing more manually or more with human efforts will now become more automated. But the intelligence that you bring, I always say this: artificial intelligence and there is human intelligence, right? Human intelligence can never be replaced, in my opinion. We always will evolve to be much smarter than the machines we build. So far, touch wood, and I hope that doesn't get jinxed and there's a robots attacking and waging war on us. I hope that doesn't happen. But yeah, I believe that the human intelligence will continue to thrive. What will definitely happen is natural stupidity going away. If there is artificial intelligence, there is natural stupidity as well. So there will be no room for natural stupidity anymore. What I mean by that is, if we are not able to use AI, if you're not able to use these advanced platforms and technology coming to us, then you will be at loss. You can no longer say that I can't use this. I'm not a techie to deliver something techie. I'm not comfortable using a technology. These statements will no longer be entertained, because you'll have no other option. My mother is on Facebook all the time, and she admins a large Facebook community, and she gets more likes and comments than I do. right? So, needless to say, you have to adapt and evolve with the technology. That is going to be a precursor, in my opinion.
Perfectly put there, I must say, Praveen. And I really liked your point about natural stupidity going away. So the room to make mundane errors is, I don't think, luxury anymore in the world to come. So along those lines, what would you advise the youngsters of today? It can be the people who are just going to pass out from the graduation programs or people who have just started their careers. What would your advice be to them on what technologies to focus or on what skills to focus in terms of the learning?
This is a question I've been asked multiple times individually and in forum. These are the three responses I have, and I've been very consistent with these responses. Number one is you have to be ahead of your peer group in your understanding of the technology evolution, which means you have to stay ahead of the curve. You need to be keeping yourself absolutely updated of all the moving parts in the industry. If you stay back and if you wait for it to come to you, you will be late, right? Stay ahead of the curve, which means that you have to learn a lot from different sources, keep yourself abreast of what's happening in the market, industry, people, influencers, new technology, new terms, jargons. You can't compromise on this. You not knowing what LLM is, for example. I was in this conference a couple of weeks ago, and there were people, everybody's talking about Gen AI. And I asked a question, who in this forum can explain what an LLM is? Everybody's face was like, okay, we know what LLM's full form is, but we really don't know what LLM means. That
Hmm.
clearly shows that people are just using the buzzword and just, yapping on the buzzword and not really making an effort to understand what it means. So that is my first piece. The second piece is never ever lose your people skills. Always hone your people skills because people skills will never go away. That's going to be in demand no matter how much technology is going to come through. In fact, it'll be even more important now for you to have basic human skills, which is basically interpersonal skills, your ability to communicate, ability to articulate complex things in a simple way. And this comes with practice. And it has nothing to do with language. I commonly get this question on the second point. Oh, my English is not great. I'm not, I come from a different language, vernacular medium. I have a mother tongue influence. None of those things matter. It's not about how you speak the language, it's about what you speak during that conversation, right? So always having that people skill and communication skills will never go away. The last part is a bit cliche, but I strongly believe is something that people should be doing, which is maybe where Futuresense is also trying to do, is keep your education process a continuum. It can't be that you finished your postgrad or undergrad or whatever, and you've got few certifications here and then you're ready to go. You might get a job, you might start a career, but the career will not progress unless you keep learning and unless you keep educating yourself. And for all good reasons, you can get educated through publicly available information and sources, YouTube, Google, LinkedIn, blah, blah, blah. But a structured course at a minimum of once in a 3 years, that is the goal I keep. With every 3 years, I try to get some sort of formal education, whether it's a small certification program or some sort of a virtual program, whatever it is. I consciously do that. What you do in that process is, number one, you get to know where you stand in the market. You get to see the peers in your industry where they are. If you're an executive program or an entry level program, wherever you are, you're with a peer group. So you get to see where you are. Second, you definitely learn things in a more structured way. Third, the certification might give you some value as you enter into any sort of a job profile or whatever. But those are my 3 points, Akash. Always be ahead of the curve in terms of keeping yourself updated on the technology. Second, build and enhance your human skills on a continuous basis. And third is always be learning, always be educating yourself. And I think these three are the most blanket recommendation I would give. Specifically, if you talk about data analytics in AI industry, one of the biggest areas the transformation is happening is the application part, which is basically the end consumption of all the technology that's being built, right? Keep an eye for that consumption. Like, for example, people have found very creative ways to use ChatGPT. People have found very creative ways to use GenAI. People are using it in a very, very interesting way. I was in Adobe Summit in Vegas last week, and most of the buzz was around Gen AI and how they're using Gen AI, right? And then the kind of platforms and the kind of solutions they were showcasing was absolutely brilliant. So the 3 points I mentioned might be very generic, but to be specific, keep yourself focused on the end application of whatever you're learning.
Yeah, Very, very succinctly put there. I think that answers many questions. We do have a crowd question, and this one is a recurring one that people like to ask. From One of the commonly taught subjects in colleges, especially, is software engineering, is the principles of programming, the fundamentals of data structures. People go into code forces, Hacker Earth, Hacker Rank, Lead Code, and practice a lot of competitive coding. But
Mhm.
they want to know from the point of view of data science, data analytics, or AI, how relevant is competitive programming? How relevant is data structures and algorithms, be directly or indirectly?
It is not what you're learning that is focus here. It's how you're learning and why you're learning
Love
that's
that
more
point.
important,
Love that
right?
point.
So you pick any sort of domain, especially in the software engineering domain, the coding part, or any sort of program development part. um, you're going to use certain stimuli in your ecosystem to build them, right? The stimuli, what I mean by stimuli is, it could be a prompt, it could be a particular query, it could be any form of linear requirement for you to get into that coding practice, right? This step itself is a great learning process, because what it educates you with is your ability to first unravel and open out what is there as a complex problem statement, if you will, your ability to solve for a particular use case given to you. And most importantly, you're going to learn languages that are very similar. Most of the programming coding languages have a lot of similarity. So as the industry and the technology evolves, your ability to adapt to it is going to increase. So, long story short, to your question, all the efforts you're putting in your education process is basically leading up to something bigger and better. None of it will go waste. And most importantly, this is the most common statements I make as well in many of my speeches. Most of the technology present today have been in existence for decades. It's just a much more refined version of it. You all might remember C, C++, and the coding languages. If you have learned C, C++ very well during your school days, college days, whenever, however old you are, its applications are still relevant. You're going to still find some of those coding standards in the modern world. So all that you're learning today is the building blocks for your ability to understand. And I strongly believe, don't be a data analytics generalist, because if you want to be a generalist, that job is also under threat. You have to be some sort of a specialist. You don't have to be a specialist across all, but pick one domain and be a specialist in it, and then expand your tentacles around it. If you're a data engineer, build your data engineering capabilities, become the best data engineer you can be, and then you can add data science to it, BI to it, AI to it, Gen AI to it. You can add on top of it, but you have to have some domain foundation. The reason I'm saying this, Akash, is that many kids and students these days believe that, okay, I'll do some course, I'll read a little bit about analytics, then I'll come and become a data scientist or a data analyst. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You get caught very soon in the industry. I've conducted enough interviews of so-called data scientists and data specialists, and I've unfortunately see them all fail, my interview at least, because I can easily find out when they're just using fluff, if you will.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the T-shaped skills is very important. Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is why some of these courses that are embedded with multi layers of disciplines or educational disciplines in them are extremely interesting for me. I find that education, especially engineering, should move away from this traditional, linear education process to, open up and become more diverse and more open minded to
Yes.
including modules that are more creative, problem solving, design thinking, and so on and so forth. That's my take on it.
Absolutely, and we agree with you wholeheartedly, Praveen. That's what we are trying to do here at Futurense as much as possible, trying to create this new paradigm of learning and conveying knowledge. Uh, uh, so a very interesting but peculiar question is some people are confused about data analytics versus business analytics. How is it
Ah,
different? Which one is going to be more relevant?
um, honestly, this is a bit confusing for me as well, because different companies and industries use different terminologies. This is how I will look at it. Um, if you use analytics, then you're talking about data relevant analytics work. An analyst doesn't has to necessarily be an analytics professional. I know I hope I'm not confusing you guys further, but it's like it's like a double-edged sword. Again, going back to my interview days, many folks come to me saying that I'm a data analyst or a data scientist in the interview. You're not a data scientist unless and until you can really, really go and look at a model or build a model or use statistical and empirical methodologies to build a model, build a logic, right? Otherwise, you're not a scientist, in my opinion, right? Again, some of it, what I'm saying might be controversial, but this is my opinion. If you are a business analyst, you're taking business and business questions and business domain and creating that linear inference of data into what business can consume and make decisions. It's like a decision enabler through business analysis. So there's no direct answer because people are often confused. But a business analyst is different from a data analyst, in my opinion. A data analyst should be able to analyze data and unpack data, and a business analyst should be able to use that unpacked information from a business context and deliver insights to the business to take decisions. So it's slightly different. So a business analyst will understand the domain, industry, the type of companies, and the data that originates there, versus a data analyst will not necessarily need to understand the end or the origins of the data. They look at data as in a very siloed fashion or as a rows and columns, for lack of better words.
Love the way you are representing it, and that
I
it,
hope, I hope, I hope I'm not confusing. If
no,
anybody's
absolutely.
confused, please let me know.
This is one of the clearest yet packs a lot of information kind of explanation that I've seen on this question. And this also makes me think, hearing you being so passionate about this field and yet at the same time being technical, what brought you into this realm of analytics and now into AI? What was your driving factor?
Okay, that's a very good question. So I started my career as a digital professional. I was always in the digital field. I was into e-commerce, digital marketing, content marketing, marketing automations, digital program management. That was my main domain. In fact, I was in London around 10 years ago, and I was in a very nice job, beautiful apartment with a nice park in front of me. Everything was looking great, to be honest, but I was finishing my job in like 4 or 5 hours a day, and life was great, to be honest. And then I got an offer from my Esterwell company that they wanted me to set up and run their digital analytics, vertical for them in India. So I had to take a big decision of letting go a very comfy job, and I don't regret it, and I'm very happy I took the decision. Analytics was not my sweet spot, and I didn't know. I understood the concepts of it, but I was not into it.
What
Um,
propelled
they,
you?
they,
Might I
Mhm.
interject but ask what propelled you to make that decision to leave all of
Yeah,
this for this?
I'll tell you, because what I was hearing through this digital journey is, as a professional, if you recollect the three suggestions I gave, the first suggestion was to stay ahead of the market and be ahead of what's happening and buzzing. I heard a lot of buzz around data and analytics around me, and everything I was touching from a digital point of view was leading up to some sort of data analytics realm. And there were quite a few instances where I felt like I didn't understand the data analytics space very well. Right. So that was the first seed in my head. Okay, there's something that I don't understand. Okay, digital is something I understand really well. I've mastered it. Now, where am I a novice? I'm a novice in the data analytics space. And when this job opportunity came to me, what best way you can learn other than by setting it up from scratch, right? So when I took this job up and moved back to India, it was a big decision. I took it up because I knew, and there's another thing that you will realize: some of the great professionals in the world, much, much, much more successful than I am for sure. One of the key qualities they have is their ability to predict what is going to be the next big thing in the market. When I entered the corporate world, I knew digital was going to be the next big thing, the digital transformation. You might have heard all the digital transformation buzz in the past, right? So I followed and I predicted that it's going to be. So I entered the digital foray. And when I realized that data analytics is going to be the next big buzz, I was able to predict this is going to be the next big buzz. So I took a big risk in my career. Sometimes you have to do it, right? Let go of a very cushy job in London, loads of money, leave all the money, comfort, and go to India, Mumbai, start things from scratch, like in a startup mode. That's the best way you can learn, right? I learned analytics on the job. I'm very grateful for the opportunity, and I believe I'm one of the very few lucky ones to learn it that way. But I learned it on the ground, right? I became a student. I humbled myself down. I let go of my ego. I let go of I surrendered to the domain and said, I'm going to learn it like a kid. So I sat with my team. I spent the first 6, 7 months sitting with the team. I had a cabin in my office, but I never sat in the cabin. I sat on the floor. I learned programming. I learned coding. I learned building visuals. I learned data engineering. I learned R. I learned Python. I learned everything on the ground, because um, that's the learning that's the joy of learning. You should never lose that spirit and joy of learning. And you have to learn at a fundamental foundational level. You can't learn superficially. Oh, you know what? I will learn these few terms. I'll understand the concept and I'll go and say things in meetings. Don't work. At least now it doesn't work. Nobody needs lip service anymore, right? So that's how I got into analytics. It was just me having this weird sense that data analytics is a space that's going to grow in the future. So me shifting from digital to analytics is going to be a big tall gap, and there were not many structured programs courses back then 10 years ago that I could leverage either. So I had to do it the hard way, and this opportunity happened to come by, and I said straight away yes, and jumped on and moved to India and started the journey.
That's
Not many called me an idiot back then, but yeah, you have to sometimes take tough stupid decisions to be successful, maybe.
well, time is telling the story to them, right?
A long way to go, my friend, long way to go.
I love the outlook that you have and the way you describe. There are so many things to take away from that. Just if someone focuses on the way you are wording things, being humble, starting from the scratch, over sitting on the ground and being hands-on. So many people forget that that's such an important step to do. Reinventing yourself. So many takeaways, even for me, and I'm sure so many for the audience over here as well. I'm truly mesmerized by the way that you have done
Thank
this.
you.
And how has the journey been after that? So once you got into analytics, you got the hard things done in a way. So you got the ball rolling. How did it
um
go after that?
Yeah, I think what I realized quickly is that there's too much to learn and very limited bandwidth because I can't always be learning and not focusing on my job as well. So this is when I started getting into academics a bit. I started teaching. I started attending few interesting courses as well. And so as a combination, and this is my thumb rule. I'm not recommending this to anybody. It's up to you, your personal space and time. I spend at least 2 hours on Saturdays and 2 hours on Sundays. So that's 4 hours of my weekend I dedicatedly spend the time on learning something new. It doesn't have to be technology, it doesn't have to be analytics, it doesn't have to be anything related to what I do. It could be about a boomerang, it could be about, aliens, it could be about anything. But learning something new for 4 hours during the weekend is one of the best things that has put me through in this journey as well. So from there on, it was all about learning academics, and then finding ways and paths to build my career. That's how it's been. Yeah.
So you have developed a habit which keeps you going, which will serve you, I think, for many, many years to come.
We're all slaves to our habits, and if you build good habits you're slaves to good habits. If you build bad habits you're slaves to bad habits. And I'm easily addicted. I get addicted very easily to things like, it could be reading, watching, anything. So I thought,
Any favorite
might as well.
recommendations of late? Any books, any movies, any series?
um more books. I am actually I'm reading one book which I found very interesting. It's called Crawl, Walk, and Run. It's a very interesting book. Um, I strongly recommend people, if you're interested in Google Analytics and at the whole ad world or the ad world. It's really talks about a lot of analytics maturity. It's focusing on Google, of course, but it's a very interesting book. I strongly recommend. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
visible,
it's
yes.
Crawl, Walk, and Run. Crawl, Walk, Run. Um, I watch a lot of sci-fi movies and good quality animation as well. Reason being, these guys always leverage the latest technology and they show you a vision and application of how technology can do. Um, there is one show that I strongly recommend people watching, but you watch an episode and then you can decide if you want to continue or not. And the content is not for kids, but of course, I'm assuming all of you on the call are adults. It's called Rick and Morty. I don't know how many of you have heard about it, how many of you have watched it. I love Rick and Morty only because they push the boundaries of how technology can be applied, and it's extremely inspiring. I've always gotten inspired by Rick and Morty, and I'm a big fan of it. And they have some very interesting new technological applications. Truly recommend it if you're a geek or if you and enjoy sci-fi kind of a thing. Yeah, strongly.
We have seen so many memes of Rick and Morty predicted this long back, and then it's happening now.
That's Simpsons. Simpson is the one that predicted most of it. Rick and Morty is completely out of this world. If you guys get a chance, watch the first couple of episodes, and if you like it, continue. They really push the envelope on your ability to think. It widens your brain's ability to think beyond what we think is possible. They go beyond possibility, and it's all technology and application of technology. So that's something I would strongly recommend apart from other
Uh,
shows.
have- are you fan of like new gadgets, new things coming up as well? You like to keep up with them?
That's one
Yeah.
of the common addictions most of us in the technology world have. I think I've spoken to everybody, at least everybody that I've spoken to in the technology space, enjoy accessing and exploring new gadgets. But instead of buying these days, I watch a lot of shows that talks about these gadgets. Earlier, I used to buy, but now I've realized that that's just putting a big dent in my finances. I would rather be watching shows. But yeah, I do follow new technology. My son has been insistent on getting him this new Apple Vision Pro,
I just going
and
to ask you about that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Everybody had
he
one.
has done more research than me, and he's asking for it. He's looking for it.
So you are going to get it just for him, or a part of you also wants it?
I don't think I'm going to get it. It's not in the right price point right now, and it's also an alpha beta version. So I'll wait for another year for the next version to come through.
Awesome. One of my favorite influencers, tech influencers, happens to be from the UK as well. You might know Mr. Who's the Boss.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, he's
yeah,
really good. He's really good. He's fantastic. I think it's just the accent with which he
it's just
describes.
the accent.
That's
Yes,
what it is, right?
yes, yes. People used to
Mr.
recommend
Wisdom.
his voice for Google version of
He's
the main
amazing.
version of Google
He's
Assistant.
very honest and very neutral about his reviews, and I really enjoy his show as well. So yeah, it's a good pick, Mr. Who's the Boss. Yeah, definitely.
So it's been a lovely conversation so far. And you have spoken about jobs, you've spoken about what skills to look for. Now, if a person was to go today, do all of that, and wants to get interviewed and hired by you, so what would Praveen look for in them? What would you grill them on? What would you fundamentally look for in this person in terms of soft skills, in terms of communication, in terms of technical skills? How would you screen for the right candidate?
I have a very direct and simple answer for that. Folks who are independently eager to learn, that's my first criteria. In fact, I do not prefer folks who come into my interviews and pretend they have 10 years of experience and 15 years of experience, and they talk about very simple things, and they have not learned anything in 15 years, right? 15 years of experience means nothing to me if you've been doing the same job for the last 15 years and you've not learned anything. I would rather hire a fresher or somebody with 2 years of experience who has great eagerness to learn. And you can easily find out these individuals, right? They usually are aware of what's happening around them. They, when I say aware, not just on the domain and technology, they're generally aware of all that's happening around them. Someone cannot just progress in any career by knowing just one thing that they do. Then
Yeah.
you can do a desk job, which is what I'm predicting will go away with all the Gen AI and other AI influences. The static job profiles will go away. You have to be aware of multi-disciplines and bring that. So anyone who has cracked the basic filtering process, basic graduation, basic whatever, if an experienced resource is required, the experience, whatever, there's some basic checklists you'll have for any opening, right? So if you check all of those, you come to the interview stage. What I would personally look for is your ability to learn. I'll back my response with an example. 4 5 years ago or 6 years ago, when I was leading the delivery for digital vertical in digital analytics vertical for a company, we had a lot of margin constraints, so we had to hire freshers from the college. And we tried hiring from tier one, tier two engineering colleges, and STEM related colleges. And the students would come, join, they'll get trained 3 months, 6 months, they'll learn, someone will pay a better package, and they'll go away, right? So we came up with a very different thought. We said, you know what, let's go to tier two, tier three colleges, or maybe even tier four colleges. Not pick the brightest in terms of grades and scores, but of course we'll have some cutoff. But
Mm.
let's pick individuals who show passion, right? And we had a checklist of things to determine who is passionate. Group interviews, group discussions, some sort of psychometric test, whatever. We had different things to go through. So we handpicked, 5 to 10 individuals with eagerness to learn and passion. That was the only criteria. Whether they have done engineering, whether they have done arts and science or commerce didn't matter to us, right? And I'm a strong believer of the 21-hour learning process theory. You can learn anything new in 21 hours if you dedicate your time and focus into it. And if you have the basic eagerness to learn, you can learn anything in 21 hours. This is proven scientifically, by the way. So with that concept, we picked only individuals with passion, high energy, and high ability to learn. We had around 8 individuals, I think, and we trained those 8 individuals for 3.5, 4 months. Invested investment from our side. They turned out to be the best analysts we could ever hire from the market. They aged client appreciations, they aged innovation, they aged in execution, they aged in learning new things. They were the fastest to get certified. They were the fastest to get into the learning curve. They had the highest ratings in their appraisals. You name it, they aged all of them. Right? Simple criteria: passion, energy, and ability and eagerness to learn. That's it. They all came from arts background. Some of them are English literature students. Okay, for students on the call who might wonder that, what, I come from a different background. I come from finance background. Can I get into analytics? I come from vernacular colleges where English is not the main language in which we are taught. Doesn't matter. These three that we went for, it worked. It was a big successful outcome for us. In fact, some of them have moved to UK, US, and different parts of the world. Some of them are, digital analysts. Some of them are data scientists. Some of them are, business translators in the analytics space, and they're doing extremely well. So I want I want to bust the myth that you can't jump into any domain. Forget about data analytics. You can jump into any domain if you have the right passion and energy to get into. Like, I might choose to leave this industry and move to maybe dancing, who knows? And as long as I'm passionate about it, I will learn it.
Love to see you shake a leg and maybe disrupt that industry as well.
Why not? Why not?
Awesome. So you have been for a while now managing the entire UK business for your company,
Europe, Europe business. So
Europe business. So on a
Europe
con
region for a particular industry group. Yeah.
Can you talk a bit about what it is like moving to such a position, being at the helm of affairs, and then how is it different from an individual contributor role? What are the differences in terms of mindset that you need in order to excel at your position versus someone who just has to deliver quality at their individual contributor capacity?
Um, I have a formula for this. Again, this is applicable to me. Since this is my personal experience I'm sharing with you, I don't know if it will be applicable for everybody in the call. I consciously move between IC role and team leadership role every now and then, because when you start managing a team and leading a team, you're taking collective responsibility. In that, especially in leadership position, there's always an opportunity for you to blame someone else for things that doesn't work. Right? There's always an opportunity for you to be a bit relaxed because you have army of people working for you. Right? It makes you a bit complacent. Then you rely on the folks on the floor to learn on behalf of you, execute on behalf of you. You become a bit lazy, to be honest. Okay, because all you're doing then is strategic decisions and appraisals and career management and stuff, and you get a bit slow. So I keep moving between IC roles, and the job prior to this was a team job. Prior to that was an IC job. Prior to that was a team leadership. So I've kind of mixed and moved across this. The reason I'm calling this out is when you're an individual contributor, you will know the true ability that you have in you because you are individually responsible for your success. You can't blame anyone. You can't do anything about it, right? So my job role currently involves mostly solutioning and client management and business growth. It's like a business development, sales, solution development, and client management, and so on and so forth. So that's the main role that I'm doing right now. So this is very different from what I was doing the delivery side, which was mostly team management, solution development, execution, and so on and so forth. So again, it's my philosophy to jump between IC and team leadership role, or even if you're in a leadership role, you have to find pockets that you can independently lead and run. That way, you can stay motivated, stay stay humble, not be too arrogant about things that you know and you don't know, and be relevant in the market. That's the most important piece, in my opinion.
Absolutely, staying on top of things. And how do you come up with these things, Praveen? How do you think of that I need to switch between this and that? Where did you, like, did
Get
someone whisper it to you or?
If you get beaten down as much as I've been beaten down, you'll automatically you don't have any other choice but to learn.
That is very
Yeah, no, I mean, I have a long way to go. I feel I'm still a novice in the industry. I still feel very junior in terms of my ability and what I have. It's a long way to go. And the pace at which kids and young students today are learning, the pace at which they're learning, and the magnitude of information that they're learning is a huge advantage for them, and is a disadvantage for me and my generation individuals who have come through the legacy education system. So, I have a lot to catch up. I have a lot to catch up. In fact, my neighbor is a very young student, an engineering student. I enjoy having conversations with him because he is so up to date about certain aspects of technology and domain that sometimes I get inspired by him. So I sit and listen to him. I sit and learn from him. Right. So be humble and always be learning. That's my simple mantra, and I strongly believe in that.
fantastic, amazing. Um, and many people are here are worried about generally what we see is what languages should I learn, what technologies to pick up. But this is the true thing that I think they should focus on mindsets rather than what specifics
It's
to.
Yeah, it's here because whatever technology you learn today will either be irrelevant or overpopulated in the next 3 years. The cycle used to be 10 years, now it's 3 years, and it's going to come down to 1 year. Anything you learn today will be irrelevant in 1 year. So doesn't matter what you're learning. Focus on how you're learning, why you're learning, and what you're going to learn next. If you focus on these three parameters, what you're learning will become somewhat easier for you to pick and decide, right? As I said, I'll give you a very simple example. There are many data scientists in the world, right? The PhDs of the world, they do PhDs. Do you know that many of the PhDs who are so-called data scientists in the industry are not really PhDs in data statistics or any of those? They might be PhD in philosophy. They might be PhDs in any form of education. The reason why the data science or the data advanced analytics team picks a PhD candidate to be a data scientist is primarily because the PhDs have gone through a rigor in terms of education. They have the patience, ability, and capability to learn something new and master it. That is the skill set why, like I work with a client of mine who's a PhD at head of data science. And she has done her data science, she has done her PhD in philosophy, nothing to do with data science. But why she's heading it? Because she has built a career in learning. That's why that learning process is so important. So it doesn't matter what you're learning, how you're learning it, and how much you're keeping yourself updated with what's happening around you is the most important parameter than anything else. Trust me, in the interview process, unless it's a very technical role that people are hiring for, unless you're hiring for a very technical skill, right? I want a Python code or an R code or whatever, very specific. All other analytical or analytics related or insights related profiles have a very strong correlation to the industry, the type of data you're working with. By the way, a data scientist working on a CPG industry will struggle working with data and technology. And anyone working with technology data will struggle working with the retail data because they're all different types of data. And if you don't understand the nuances of the industry variances in that data, you can't do that job. So it's about learning process. I know I've been ranting on this the whole episode, but focus on the process of learning, and what you're learning will be a logical interjection into the process itself. So you will fail a bit, and you'll automatically identify, okay, this is what I need to learn. Okay, I need to get more about this, and you will automatically align yourself. That's my simple way to put it.
Truly, truly. I resonate with that, and I strongly believe what you said is the right way to go about it, focusing on the process rather than the outcomes. The outcomes will take care of themselves.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, a question on a personal front as well. So, with such an illustrious career, although you claim to be a novice,
Not yet. Not yet. It's not
I would
illustrious yet.
strongly,
It will be. I am confident that it will be illustrious, but yeah, please carry on.
yeah. So, how or what have you learned? I would say, I'm sure it has been a continuous process in terms of balancing work with life.
Oh man.
You have a family, you have things to take.
Thank you for asking that question. Thank you
Yeah,
for asking the question. I'll tell you with my own, and maybe this is a good way to also segue into the last part of the session, but I'll tell you from my personal experience. And this is something your father, mother, uncles, aunties, everybody who have gone, lived their life would tell you. Um, what are you stressing about today? What are you worried about today is irrelevant tomorrow, right? And by the way, I've not mastered this philosophical, spiritual statement I'm making. I'm still making an effort. Uh, every day I wake up and go to sleep measuring my performance, right? Okay, what am I going to do today? And in the evening, I sleep. What have I done today? Score myself. I don't worry about the outcome at all. And it takes a lot to be in that mindset. It's not easy. Don't be stressed. Stress is the worst thing that can happen to you as a human and as a professional as well. If there's a client escalation, it's okay. If there is a mistake you've done in your execution, it's okay. You've lost your job, no problem. It takes you will learn, but sorry, Akash, I'm fumbling because unfortunately, no matter how much I emphasize on this, most of the folks on the call who are young and getting into the career, they're going to be always stressed, right? Education, job, salary, household, and everything. I don't know how to say this, but I've learned through years of experience that being stressed is the worst enemy for you. It's okay if you failed. It's okay if you had a bad day. It's okay if you've not worked out. It's okay if your job is not worked out. It's okay if your manager is not great. It's okay if your career is not progressing. Just focus on yourself. Just keep learning. Just build a demand for yourself rather than being following a demand. I believe in that, and you won't believe this. In the last, I don't know, 3, 4 jobs of mine, I've never interviewed. I never had to interview to get a job. Maintain good network around you, maintain good individuals around you. You build a brand for yourself. Your brand is going to be the most powerful brand compared to any brand you are associated with. You might be working for Google today or Amazon today or any of these top FANG companies today. They will hire and fire you in 3 years. After that, what are you then? Right? Your brand is you. Build your personal brand. That is the biggest lesson I've learned. And in the process of building your brand, uh, the component of stress once is out of the window, you will have a great work-life balance on its own. It's as simple as that. I know it's a bit philosophical, but yeah, it's a tough one. You'll have to learn through it.
Yeah, learning to let go is not easy. I mean,
It's not easy, man. I still
it's
struggle.
so how let me take a more specific example. I think this will help people understand also a bit better. So let's say there is a very demanding time in work or in terms of deliverables going on, and you know you have to put in the hard extra hours, but at the same time it's required maybe from a family. Let's take an simple example. To spend some time with them, and it has been going on for a while. You have been putting them off, let's say for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but now it's things are boiling. So how do you handle this?
I do a simple prioritization. Okay. My prioritization is very simple. It was not the same when I started the career. And that's why I'm saying that, everybody who's listening into this, they'll have to go through the drill to experience and learn this. My priority, family first. Family is the first priority. Everything else can wait. Nothing in this world is more important than your family. This is again very philosophical, but it's true. If you maintain a great family life, your professional life will be fantastic. It's kind of interconnected. But if you have a great professional life, it doesn't guarantee a great personal life, right? It doesn't work the other way around. And I'm a personal example of that. So if you have a great personal life, your professional life will be awesome. So it's a prioritization. If I have to work extra for a particular project and the project is important and my extra hours is going to gain value back to the company and me, which means I'm going to get more from this job, which will in turn go back to my family, then I'll prioritize that. If I feel that it's just another day of hectic work, sorry, boss, I'm getting paid for 9 hours, 10 hours, whatever. I'm going back home to my family. That's how I prioritize. So be loyal to yourself. Your integrity and loyalty should be to yourself because companies will come and go, jobs will come and go, your managers will come and go. What doesn't come and go is you. So be focused on yourself. That's why I never get worried about jobs. I don't care if I lose my job tomorrow. I don't care if I don't have to work if I don't have a job tomorrow because I constantly believe that I have built a brand that will get me a job somewhere. It's fine. It's gonna work out. Don't worry about it.
I mean, if we can take anything out of this, I would love the mentality and the mindset that you have built. I'd love
Eh,
to.
I'm still fixing it. Trust me. I might be giving this Gyan Darshan for free, but I'm still learning. I'm still learning that. It's not easy. Sometimes I get stressed in the sales and the business development world. Sometimes you lose a big deal, it freaks you out. Oh my God, this is going to have a direct impact on my promotion, my increments, my bonus, and everything. It does freak me out. But I tell myself it's okay. It's not a big deal. 5 years ago, what I was worried about is no longer a problem statement today. So it's going to go away. It's fine.
Of
Yeah.
this zen that you have, and I
Trying. I'm still trying, boss. Still trying.
Wish you more success, and I wish all of us also to have a bit of what you have achieved and what you have learned throughout the years.
Absolutely. I just want to take 30 seconds to answer a question on the retirement part. Somebody had raised a question. I was
Yeah,
just looking through. Do you have a retirement age in your mind? I don't think I'll ever retire, because retirement is not just you retiring from a job, right? Retirement means you're giving up on your life experiences. I'm never going to leave up. I might not have a job, but I'll never retire. That's how I'll put it. I'll always find ways to generate income. I'll always find ways to keep myself busy. I'll always find ways to monetize my hours. So there's no retirement age. I don't think Warren Buffett has taken a retirement yet. I don't think Donald Trump has taken a retirement. The US election, 77-year-old Trump and 81-year-old Biden are competing for presidential candidature for a country. That's my grandfather's age. They must be sitting at home and, chewing tobacco and sleeping. They're there competing in the world. So, there's no retirement. I don't think the retirement age exists. You can keep on going.
love it. I absolutely loved every minute of this session, and thank you for, as you said, sharing your gyan with us and spending an hour of absolute gold with us. I'm
No, this
sure,
was brilliant.
yeah,
Great
we
questions.
we walk away with it all the more wiser than we went into it.
I'm
And
humbled.
thank you so much. I genuinely thank you from the bottom of my heart, and hope to converse with you sometime again soon and get to know
Absolutely.
more
Look
of
forward
your
to.
life.
Look
Yeah,
forward to. And thank you very much, everyone, for this opportunity, especially Swati, Akash, and Devrati. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
yeah. Thank you,
Thank
thank
you
you.
so much, Praveen, for your time. It was lovely having you.
Same here. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Have a good day, Ed. Thanks. Thanks
Bye.
everyone as for attending.